ensuring good governance is an enormously complicated task. Again, ex ante, when you're looking at a startup, there are only a few founders, there are only a few employees. To ensure that that company goes with good governance, I think is an imperative for the investor as well. So if I'm putting risk capital in a budding company, I think it is imperative that I as an investor demand that the company set up framework for good governance, whether it is the types of share it issues to investors, that doesn't create asymmetry or advantageous information for certain class of investors versus the other, or the way the company pursues its procurement, the way it pursues its human resource policies. These things need to be set in stone in the best practice possible at the onset. You can't just grow your way into it. It has to be part of the DNA. So first and foremost, insist that the founders themselves instill strong governance principles within the organizations at the onset. It's not something that one grows into. Secondly, I think it is very important to remain engaged with that company. Giving money to a company is the first part of a journey. The founders need to have mentorship. The founders need to find networks that the capital providers bring in. And sometimes these things happen organically. Sometimes capital providers, whether they're from a long distance away or they're from a different part of the business, they seem to step away and trust the founders to figure everything out. I think that tends to be not the right thing to do. I think constant engagement and iteration with the founders and helping them along as a mentorship capacity is extremely important, in addition to being a provider of capital. And finally, I go back to my earlier point about dealing with cross-cultural environment, that capital providers also have to try to understand the culture of the company that they're getting into. It's not just about governance, it's not just about the business potential of that company, it is about the type of family of workers and entrepreneurs and innovators that the company is trying to build. Is it creating positive energy for the world? Is it creating good value addition that is not just good for the shareholders but also good for the society? I think these sort of questions were not really asked in the past, but as we have gone through the global financial crisis, going through the current climate crisis, and all the other crises, including the pandemic, it seems to me that the society as a whole is asking companies to be a better citizen, a better participant in the overall fabric of society. And hence, as providers of capital, the capital providers also have to see whether the companies that they're investing into are going to play ball with society, or would be just trying to take their pound of flesh from society and prosper the founders and the shareholders, and that's about it. I think that's very passé. Going forward, what impact, what footprint that company leaves behind is important. And again, those sort of ethos are built at the foundation level. And as initial providers of risk capital, I think investors also have a responsibility in that regard.